This is the After Party, live with Kim McAllister. Pick a couch, grab a drink, and settle into the conversation.
Welcome to Tuesday, everybody. Hi, how are you? Thank you for being here. Hope it's okay to start a touch early. And to those who served, thank you very much. I would say happy Veterans Day. That happy seems weird to use on a day where it's about honoring service. So in honor and in observance of Veterans Day, thank you to all of those who have served, including my husband, who served. When he served in the United States Marine Corps, he was sent to Japan, and he remembers and loves to tell the story of how he got lost on Mount Fuji. In honor of that, I thought, because it's Veterans Day and it's Travel Tuesday, we'll take a little trip to Mount Fuji. So we'll do that later in the show. Thank you. I see everyone here. I saw a lot of talking about the trolls in the Mark Thompson land, and usually I'm more on top of it, so I just want to issue an apology, because when Mark is not here, my attention is turned to a lot of different things. As you saw at one point, Mo asked me a question and I had been writing my newscast and I wasn't paying attention to everything. So yeah, a lot of things fall through the cracks on a day like today. So my apologies for having to have you sit through the troll section. I have not yet brought it up to Mark. We always seem to be talking about everything except putting citizen monitors in place at the Mark Thompson show. So it is on my list of things to talk to him about, and I will do it. Nullifidian is cleaning the room once a year, whether it needs it or not. As a mom, I would like to have you clean your room more than once a year, but as a person who rarely cleans her own room, I totally get it. Yeah, Mindy says, God bless the vets. Thank you for your service. Did David have a Fiji water on Mount Fuji? I don't think so. Fiji water on, I get it. Yeah. You volunteered to be a moderator. Excellent. Thank you. Judy volunteers as well. Thank you. Sandy says, Mark has a lot of viewers, definitely a good candidate for some mods. Yeah, I think you're right. And you guys know what we want. You guys know that it's okay to have a differing opinion as long as you're cool about it and respectful about it. You can't delete someone for expressing a different thought. But when they start spouting off lies, then we can get in trouble with YouTube for having things that are not true. We're not doing anything about it. Obviously, name calling, negativity, and my personal rule of the all caps. So if even for emphasis in words, I will delete comments and I will delete people. So I did excommunicate someone who was a weird all caps writer today. Anyway, all right, so let's move forward. Oh, and Heather volunteers as well. The all caps police. Thank you. I appreciate that. Nice. Thank you for that. I will go back through the chat and write down everyone whose name who has volunteered. I appreciate it very much. All right. So let's move to some of these stories. And I'm so sorry. I just want to apologize in advance. So sorry for having to do the story and having to show it to you. Here's one of my great fears in life. It's why I sleep at night. I position my hair, cover my ears. I'm always afraid, and my husband will make fun of me for it, of spiders crawling in your ears at night. Like anything spider related, I'm just absolutely not okay with. And so it's odd then that I would choose this particular story as the thumbnail for the show. But I'm so grossed out and I'm so freaked out about this. What is it? Who's in there? Why is that guy standing so close? Maybe you want to back up a little bit, sir. Maybe you don't mind a few thousand spiders all over your face. This is a mega nest. It's a massive spider web. And they say, and I don't know if anyone's counted, but they say it's home to more than 100,000 spiders. 100,000 spiders live in there, and look how close he is to it. Back away, dude. What are you doing? This massive spider nest web thing from hell was found in a cave in Europe. It could be the world's largest spider web. It's in a cave in a border between Greece and Albania. They apparently all live together in this giant, massive spider web nest in complete darkness. They just live in there. It is the stuff of utter nightmares. And also, like, while I have a shiver up my spine, I'm oddly fascinated. More than 110,000 spiders said to be inside of this cave in southeastern Europe, one of the largest spider colonies ever documented, maybe even the biggest in the world. Researchers wrote a paper on it, published it October 17th in the journal Subterranean Biology. They say they found this extraordinarily enormous spider colony, call a community, in the Sulfur Cave. It's this cave along the border of Albania and Greece. And initially, it was discovered in 2022 by spelunkers or speleologists, cave scientists, with the Czech Speleological Society. And so then biologists went down there and they're like, we got to see this. So they went to take a look. A biologist at Sapientia Hungarian University of Transylvania. How appropriate that a Transylvanian scientist would go down there. First laid eyes on this giant spider web and said there was a surge of emotions from gratitude to respect. How about fear? The quote is, you have to experience it to truly know what it feels like. I'm going to do that's a hard pass. This structure, made up of thousands of individual funnel-shaped webs, spans over 1,000 square feet. It starts 164 feet from the entrance of the cave, and then it extends through the narrow, long-ceilinged section. These spiders live in total darkness. Their neighborhood never gets any sunshine. There are two species of spiders that inhabit this area: the barn funnel weaver or the domestic house spider. Uh, so gross. They say that yeah, so it's the barn funnel weaver and the domestic house spider. They estimate about 69,000 barn funnel weavers and 42,000 house spiders are living in this cave. They found an unusually dense swarm of small midge flies in the cavern as well, which likely serve as the main food source for these spiders. They say they were surprised to find the spider species living in the cave because these spiders are typically found on the surface. And it is the first recorded instance of these two species living together in what appears to be harmony. I mean, we don't know what the kind of fighting going on in there. You take your half of the web, I'll take my half. The scientists think that the funnel weavers are the primary architects and builders of the giant web, and the other ones are just living in it. They're just camping out. They would have expected that the larger spiders would eat the smaller house spiders, but they say maybe it's the cave's darkness that is responsible for their congeniality. It is plausible, they say, that because one species of spiders tend to remain motionless until their own prey is within striking distance, that the other spiders just can't see them. They say the spiders living in Sulfur Cave are unique. They are genetically distinct from other members of their species, likely because they've adapted to live in this darkness. In addition, the cave spider's gut microbiomes are less diverse than their peers living outside the cavern. That's likely because of what they're eating down there. There were, though, some unexpected discoveries. They say that there are some genetic plasticity things happening, only apparent under extreme conditions. This cave, the Sulfur Cave's entrance, is located in Greece, but its deepest sections are in Albania, where it joins up with two other caverns, the Atmos Cave and the Turtle Cave, to create a subterranean maze of rooms and passages in a limestone outcrop. Water from springs and a sulfur-laden stream flows through the cave complex and out into this river area with water temperatures inside the cave pretty warm year round. The walls of this cave are covered in slimy biofilms made up of microorganisms that feed on the abundant hydrogen sulfide in the cave. The biofilms form the basis of the cavern's food web, allowing numerous critters to thrive in there. Not only did the two species of spiders and the midges, but centipedes and pseudoscorpions and mites and beetles and just stay out of this cave. No, thank you. They're still studying down there. In the meantime, they say they're reveling in this natural world, still holding countless surprises. I don't imagine just sticking your hand in there and reaching in. No, stop it. Okay, I'm going to click away from this picture to another picture that maybe will not light your fancy on fire. It's a new bee, like a seriously new bee. I haven't seen this bee ever. It's called the Lucifer bee because it has horns. See the horns on the front? It was discovered in Australia. The female Lucifer bee has these upward pointing horns that maybe they think used to access flowers, compete for resources, maybe even defend nests. But because they look kind of demonic, they call it the Lucifer bee. Scientists in Australia identifying a new species of native bee with these tiny devil-like horns. The species, Megachile lucifer, or Lucifer bee, was discovered by scholars surveying a critically endangered wildflower in Western Australia's goldfields. The study, published Monday in the Journal of Hymenoptera Research. Hymen, like, you know what I mean? Hymenoptera Research. That's the name of the publication. This distinctive upward pointing horn on the female bee's face is what inspired the name, according to the lead author of the study at Curtin University. When writing the new species description, Kit Prendergast said, "I was watching the Netflix show Lucifer, and the name just fit perfectly." They did a DNA test on the Lucifer bee, and it showed the species doesn't match any known bees in the existing databases. It makes it the first new member of this group to be described in more than 20 years. These horns are super tiny, each measuring about 0.9 millimeters long. And the thought is they could be used to access flowers, compete for resources, defend nests, but the exact function of the horn, they don't know exactly. The male bee, Lucifer bee, does not have the horn. It highlights the need, they say, to study bees more. That this new species that they just found could be at risk from habitat disturbance and other threatening processes like climate change. The researchers say without knowing which native bees exist and which plants they depend on, we risk losing both before we even realize they're there. The native bees in Australia are understudied and data poor, according to researchers, and Australian authorities say we need some stronger policies to protect these native bees from habitat loss, fires, increased risk from mega fires. So, just another interesting thing you could see if you're wandering around in Australia, the Lucifer bee. Speaking of creatures, I have a story for you. This is about a lady who is a total badass. And while I realize that this shark is tiny, still, she reached in, grabbed it more than once, and saved its little life.
I'm a shark.
What would you do if you saw a shark washed up on the beach? If you're Colleen Dunn, you grab it by the tail and pull it back out to deeper water.
There was nobody around to ask for help, so I just made the quick decision to get him back into the deep Pacific Ocean.
Dunn tells us she went for a walk on the beach at sunset with her dogs last month when she noticed the shark.
Probably about 15 feet in front of me, I saw something that looked like driftwood. And then I noticed it was moving.
When she got closer, she saw it was in trouble.
This poor guy was just in distress. I could just tell he still had life to live. It was like he was gasping for air whenever I walked up to him. I kept trying to pull him into the shallower tide water where I was at, but it just wasn't deep enough to cover his gills.
The shark, a young salmon shark, according to shark expert Taylor Chappell. And since salmon sharks are endothermic, they can get in trouble when they find themselves in cold water.
These small salmon sharks sort of end up in places where the water's cold. And it induces this cold shock. It knocks down their immune system, and they actually have this fungus that grows in their brain, and then they end up on beaches.
I had seen enough Shark Week to know, like, to grab, if you can grab them by the tail, they can't reach back and bite you. And I was in no danger with him.
Salmon sharks are at that size, they're sort of like these little torpedoes. And so you're not really at much risk if you have it by the tail.
Dunn said she watched the shark swim out and waited to see if it would come back, but it didn't.
I felt like when I walked away, it was kind of like I was at peace knowing I did all I could do in my power to get him to safety.
Jake Holter, KGW News.
I think I might have been muted for a long time. Oh my goodness. I'd email Kim, but she'd see it tomorrow. Probably true. Oh no. Yeah. How long was I muted? What was the last story you heard? I'm so sorry. Oh, what a bummer. Hi, Nancy. I'm sorry. Ground control to Major Kim. I love you guys. You're so funny. Speaking of heat, Mama, I will say my mom started this. We don't turn the heat on until after Thanksgiving, if we can help it, unless there's like some major cold snap. So we have a no heat turning on policy. We try to keep it off for as long as possible too. That's funny. Whoever is producing this thing, says Jim. That's so funny. I'm sorry, you guys. Salmon shark story. Seriously? How far back was that? So we missed salmon. We got salmon sharks. Did we get the coffee? Did you hear the coffee story? All right. I'm sorry. Missed the coffee story. Darn it. Well, in a nutshell, Liz, drink the coffee, because apparently this big study was done that shows that coffee is something that could, according to this new study, protect against atrial fibrillation, or a fast heartbeat. They looked at 200 people in this study, and they divided them into those who were not coffee drinkers and those who were coffee drinkers. And they showed, or the research showed, that there's evidence that drinking coffee can protect against this fast, irregular heartbeat. So there is that. I won't go back and do the whole thing, but there you have it. As far as Enceladus goes, this is Saturn moon, and the story here, and I'm so sorry, you guys, for not realizing I was muted. I think I muted myself to cough and take a sip of tea during the shark story, and then you know how that went. But the story on Enceladus is they've discovered heat activity at both of the poles on this moon of Saturn called Enceladus. Further evidence that this planet has what it could take to sustain life, and is one of the places that, other than Earth, could be a place where life is it's habitable for life. Enceladus, and they gathered this information with the Cassini mission. The Cassini mission from NASA, and then scientists compiled all this research showing that this planet, with its subterranean ocean and the way that it heats, could sustain life. It may have the building blocks for life there. But we move on now, apologies, to this story about concussions, because there's a new blood test that could be very beneficial when looking at whether or not a concussion is severe enough to warrant someone sitting out, not playing, this type of thing. This new study, published in the November-December issue of the Journal of Head Trauma Rehabilitation, shows certain brain-related biomarkers in our blood are associated with how badly someone's symptoms would be as they recover from a concussion. So interesting. You could note how they say how bad someone's bell had been rung. There are some significant differences between male and female concussion patients in terms of the markers found in their blood, but this study is building on previous research that suggests some brain-related markers could provide objective measures of brain injury, especially in teens with concussion. The study done at Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore, they analyzed 339 teens aged 11 to 18 who had lasting symptoms for up to 5 weeks following a concussion. And they tested the kids' blood for 5 proteins and lipids released from the brain following a concussion. The results showed that some of the markers tracked with the teens' concussion symptoms, but again, it differed from boys and girls. Higher levels of markers related to brain cell damage were associated with increased emotional symptoms among female concussion patients, but lower levels of the same marker were associated with increased physical symptoms and overall symptoms among male patients. So the findings suggest that gender could moderate the relationship between biomarkers and symptoms in adolescence after concussion. Still, the blood-based markers could play a useful role in monitoring recovery and guiding the care of concussion patients. So that may be a new thing, to take a blood test after you have a concussion to see how many of these biomarkers that you have. So um I'm enjoying the show. Yeah, what little of the show you can hear, Brother Jerry. I'm glad you subscribed too, which leads me to remind folks to click like and subscribe if you haven't already. We're a fun little group, you know? You guys put up with a lot from me, I'll tell you that much. We'll move to trees, and I have to thank Julie D for sending me this story. Hopefully, you'll be able to hear it. There's this new research that is revealing a thriving microbiome in trees, lives inside the tree wood. A new study from the Yale School of Environment shows a single tree hosts about 1 trillion bacteria within its woody tissue. What is living inside the wood has largely been unexplored. They say this establishes a new frontier for understanding tree physiology and forest ecology that can assist in forecasting forest response to future change and could help trees adapt to climate change as well. So, usually, when you're studying a tree, you focus mainly on the exposed surfaces of the tree, the roots, the leaves, the bark. For this study, the scientists looked at 150 living trees across 16 species in the northeast region of the United States. And they found that microbes are partitioned between the heartwood, which is the inner wood, and the sapwood, which is the outer wood. And each had its own unique microbiomes with minimal similarity to other plant tissues or ecosystem components. The inner wood was dominated by microbes that don't need oxygen, the outer wood dominated by microbes that do require oxygen. The microbes actively producing gas and cycling nutrients. So interesting. One of the authors of the study said one of the things most interesting was how these microbiomes varied across different species. For example, the sugar maples they looked at hosted a very different community than the ones within pine trees, and the differences were consistent and conserved, supporting the idea that not only are these microbial communities shaped by the unique conditions within different tree species, but that these communities may even have co-evolved with trees over time. They call this a massive reservoir of unexplored biodiversity, the things living and lurking inside the tree bark, inside the heartwood. We'll move forward with computers getting much better at recognition, at figuring things out, especially when it comes to images. The machine learning programs still have some blind spots, but this is getting better really, really, really fast. Computer vision models use what's called visual neural networks. They're interconnected units with artificial neurons, kind of like neurons in our brain, but they have these connections with each other as the system learns. The networks are trained on a set of images with descriptions, and eventually they can correctly guess what is in a new image that they have never come across before. There was a big leap in this technology in 2012, and now we have more vast improvements. You know those things, those security things where they say, click all the pictures with the stop signs, or click all the pictures with a bicycle, those type of things? Yeah. They're getting better and better and better at the computers doing it And so you see these being used less often because now computers can figure it out. There was a study done in 2017 at MIT where an AI research group tricked a neural network, a computer neural network, into labeling a picture of a cat as guacamole because they added some pixel noise to the cat image and it completely threw everything off. It was very, very easy for them to do as well. If they moved a pixel in an image slightly to the left or right, they were able to confuse the visual networks. They did it with a bunch of different pictures, and the computer couldn't identify the image anymore. They say computers learn lazy shortcuts that are easily tampered with. But today, those neural networks are being replaced by something called vision transformers, or VITs, trained on millions or billions of images. They divide images into groups of pixels called patches and cluster regions based on properties like color and shape. The groupings are identified as physical features, like a body part or a piece of furniture, and the vision transformers perform better than previous approaches because they synthesize information from different areas of an image more efficiently. So again, getting better and better at mimicking how the brain sees as well. So we're growing, we're getting better. Speaking of tech stuff, can we check out the robot hands? You know, I keep looking at and following the development of the movement of these robots. And we've seen them go from barely being able to walk or stagger to now dancing and doing flips. And the hands on robots are also getting much, much better. So I have a little video. Here's the video to show you that you can see how much better robots are getting at picking things up. Check this out.
Hydraulics to electric Atlas gave us an interesting jumping point. We knew that right about the same time that Boston Dynamics and Atlas wanted to focus more on manipulation, not just mobility and locomotion. And that was just a natural point to explore grippers with higher dexterity. We've known from the beginning that the gripper journey is a long one. Grippers are one of the most intricate components of a humanoid robot. They pack tons of functionality. We have to put in a lot of actuation and sensing into a very small space. So it's a very hard design problem. We've taken that long-term perspective and tried to maximize learnings through that path. GR1 is a gripper that is the first gripper of what we call the GR line, where we were looking to build something that had the most fundamental and in a way minimalistic capabilities of a human hand. GR1 allowed us to learn a ton of what it means to mount a gripper to a humanoid robot that works most of the time well, but sometimes it falls, and inevitably once in a while it's going to fall on top of the gripper. So we wanted to figure out what is a good way to build a gripper that can resist that kind of failure mode, and which is very important to our development path, being able to build grippers that are rugged and reliable.
I mean,
this
look
is
at
our
that.
second generation gripper. It has 7 degrees of freedom. We have 7 different actuators within it, 2 for each of the 3 fingers, and then 1 for this articulated thumb joint. We have tactile sensing on the fingertips, and we have cameras here in the palm. The whole module is self-contained with all the actuation within it. It's very easy to put on and off for the robot. And it was an iteration from our first generation gripper, which had a similar 3 fingers, but there was no thumbs. They're all in the same line.
Maybe the most important distinction from GR2 to GR1 is the addition of a thumb, an opposable thumb. That really expands the type of grasps that it allows us to do.
So check that out. You see how good that thing is at picking things up now? I mean, I think it could make your bed. I think it could fold your laundry with that thumb.
It really increases the flexibility of which objects we can grasp with it. And really over the last year or so, we've realized that we can grasp almost anything that we throw at it.
Anyway, so I just thought that was interesting as we kind of keep following the development of these interesting robots and what they look like and what they can do. I see you, Louise, throwing down a 5 for me. Happy Veterans Day, everyone. Kim, here's a thank you to your husband for his service. Oh, that's so nice. Mahalo to David. I appreciate that. And I will tell him that and thank you. I really appreciate that contribution and the comment as well. And again, thank you everyone for sticking around and staying with me despite my audio issues that were completely an operator error. All right, ghosts in the machine. Well, in this case, I was in the machine. But can it pick up girls in bars? Says Nullifidian, talking about the robot. Yeah. 3 digits, says Ricky, like War of the Worlds aliens. Oh, did they have 3 digits as well? Oh, so creepy. Oh. I hope a robot doesn't take my job, says Brother Jerry. I hope not either. Phineas says there are robots you can swear are humans inside the machine. Oh, it's so creepy. All right, shall we do it? Shall we take a little trip to Mount Fuji? On Travel Tuesday, off we go. I have to share the screen with you because I'm going to a website that is called, I believe it's called Salt and Water. And I thought they have the most beautiful pictures of Mount Fuji with a list of the 12 best things to do at Mount Fuji, Japan. Like, Salt in Our Hair is the name of this website, and I am in love with the pictures that they took of Mount Fuji. So beautiful. So before we begin, let me try to share this with you. Here's one of the pictures. I just think it's so pretty, especially when you look at the colors turning. Let me take this down so I can show you this photo. How pretty is that? Absolutely love it. So beautiful. These are among the 12 best things to do on Mount Fuji, which is this volcano, iconic to Japan, 3,765 meters high, snow-capped. So you can see it from all over the place. From candy-colored blossom trees surrounding it in the spring to the vibrant maple trees in the fall. So beautiful. There are 5 main lakes to see here, and you can go to the lakes and see the different viewpoints of Mount Fuji. Sunrise is beautiful here. There are thermal waters in the onsens. You can soar above the clouds by cable car, see some of the beautiful shrines. And so here are some of the top things to do around the Mount Fuji area. Some people climb to the summit. Most visit the 5 lakes at the base of the volcano. Kawaguchiko, which is the most popular, easiest jumping off point to discover all things to do in Mount Fuji. Lake Yamanaka, which is the largest and closest to Mount Fuji itself, offering some of the best views in the area. The Lake Saiko, one of the lesser developed lakes. Lake Motosu, which is the most remote and inaccessible, but also featured on the 1,000 yen Japanese bill. And Lake Shoji, which is the smallest of the lakes, and it's very tranquil because it's less developed. So here's a picture from one of the lake's perspectives. You can see that. Oh, beautiful. Can't even get the whole thing in the shot there. There's Mount Fuji. You can see the lake below. Super pretty. So it's clear that we're going to have to go to some of these lakes. Here's another picture, just in case you wanted a little romance in your lake shot. How pretty is that? You could stand across from the lake and see Mount Fuji in the distance with the snow cap. Oh, pretty. One of the great viewpoints of Mount Fuji is above the village at Arakura Fuji Sengen Jinja Shrine. It's a pretty red shrine, sits right on top of the hill, at the top of some of the steps that lead you through a charming woodland. And look at this picture. How pretty is that? You can see the shrine and then Mount Fuji in the background. Beautiful. They say for something extraordinary, how about hiking a bit further to the Churieto Pagoda, one of the most iconic spots in Japan? It's a 5-story, bright red pagoda built in 1963 as a peace memorial, and it is the latest addition to the shrine. At sunrise or sunset, one of the most known photography spots in Japan, if not the world, filled with all the people just trying to get a snap of the snow-capped peak of Mount Fuji. I'll show you another photo. That's a great shot. Look at that. So pretty. They say it's about 20 minutes from the train station to this shrine. 400 steps further up the hill is where you'll find the famous Mount Fuji view, and there's even a viewing platform that looks onto the red pagoda with Mount Fuji in the background. Speaking of these trees, if you're not in the autumn spirit yet, wow, look at that. I guess that's going up and down the hill, headed to the shrine. So pretty. And there's the train station in the background. What a nice walk. Look at that picture. So beautiful. Really lovely. So this is also another wonderful place to see Mount Fuji, a viewing platform at the falls. So this is only part of the picture that I'm showing you, because one of the other best things to do near Mount Fuji is to go see Shiraito Falls. It is on the western side of Mount Fuji. You can discover this Shiraito waterfall, 150-meter wide waterfall curtain. It's a spot they say you cannot miss in Japan. Watch what happens when I scroll down a little lower in this picture. There's the waterfall right there. A curtain waterfall with multiple streams coming down out of the bright red and yellow trees down into some other foliage here. There's some other photos of this. You can see Fuji in the background, and there's the waterfalls. So pretty. I don't know why we haven't done this waterfall yet on Waterfall Wednesday. Here's a closer picture of the waterfalls. Just really, really beautiful. Shiraito Waterfalls, it's called. One of the must-see things in Japan. They also say one of the best places to see Mount Fuji is the beautiful Lake Yamanaka. So it's one of these 5 lakes formed hundreds of years ago due to a volcanic eruption. Of these 5 lakes, Lake Yamanaka is the largest, also the most popular, and there are a lot of swans at Lake Yamanaka, which makes it kind of a magical place, especially with Mount Fuji in the background. Just beautiful and special. There are also restaurants, Another great place to see Mount Fuji is maybe while you're having lunch. Check out this lady. Here she is in front of the lake, and here she is having lunch at a restaurant in front of the lake. It looks like you can rent one of those swan boats to paddle around on Lake Yamanaka as well. What a great place to dine. What a view. Speaking of the swans, look at that. Beautiful shot of a swan swimming on Lake Yamanaka in the foreground. In the background, Mount Fuji. So pretty. Here is Shimoyoshida. This is a Japanese village, one of the best things to do at Mount Fuji. It's in the main city area, mainly known as a jumping off point to visit the most famous lake. But they say this town is worth a visit in its own right. And I'm telling you, the pictures on this website, saltinourhair.com, They have a bunch of different things here, but their Mount Fuji pictures, incredible. Just beautiful. Sunrise, sunset, they say wonderful moments to get pictures. And how about this? This is one of the villages you can stop by and check out. Do a little shopping with Mount Fuji in the background. Oopsies. I think I lost it. We'll go back. See if we can't reclaim. Nope. Now I'm in trouble. Uh-oh. This has not been a good show for me. I knew I should have taken Veterans Day off. As a matter of fact, right now as we speak, my daughter is marching in the Veterans Day parade in downtown Petaluma as the leader of the band. And I really wanted to go see her, but I'm having my husband videotape it. So back we go to Mount Fuji, and there it is, the shopping destinations that you can see Mount Fuji in the background. This looks very cold and wintry, doesn't it? And very chilly. Look at those street lights. Such a beautiful setting. Place to do a little sightseeing, a little shopping. Why not? Have a little coffee. They say you can stay in this hotel. It's called the Onsen Hotel. And look at the view from your balcony there. Oh, that's a wowzer. I don't think I would ever leave the hotel. I just hang out on the balcony. Order room service and look at Mount Fuji. That's so beautiful. You can see this iron scroll work with openings where you can see Mount Fuji as you sit on the balcony of your hotel. Very cool. There's an area called Hakone, which is famous for its woodland views of the volcano. Most things there centered around Lake Ashi. There are private cruise ships and cable car flights, all kinds of things to do and see. Check out this picture. That's so pretty. That's the Hakone Shrine. That's what we're looking at there. Speaking of the ships, there's one of the cruise ships. You can climb aboard. Sorry for the... Oh. No, not again. What have I done? I keep messing things up. I'm so sorry. Anyway, you kind of get the point. So many different ways to see Mount Fuji, right? Are there any other pictures I need to show you? I don't think so. Oh, yeah, I do need to show you this picture. I'm going to have to. There's a place called the Hakone Open Air Museum. It's a hillside park that is home to sculptures and famous Japanese and international artists. And there's an exhibition hall with the gardens that they have works from Picasso inside. And in this place, they have the stained glass windows of the cylindrical building. It's a symphonic sculpture, 360-degree colored glass that envelops this building, centered around a steel spiral staircase. They say it's magic on a sunny day when the rays create beautiful dancing colors. This I must show you. Since we're traveling on our Travel Tuesday, I have to show you. And I apologize that my website keeps going away, but I mean, come on. I had to show you that. If I'm trying to lift up your spirit on a November Tuesday, this is it. See if I can make the picture bigger. Just wow. I mean, incredible. So beautiful. So that's inside where you can see the stained glass. And then here's outside where you can see these incredible sculptures and figurines as you walk around the Japanese gardens. Really, really cool. All right. Thus comes the end of Travel Tuesday. I hope you had fun just popping into Mount Fuji. My husband's story goes, he was on they were on a forced march. They were supposed to be marching straight up Mount Fuji, and something happened where he got separated from the group. I don't even know how this is possible. But he gets lost and he's trying to find his way back to where they're staying, the base or the camp or what have you. I am not telling this story like he would. And he said a man in a truck stopped and he got in the back of this truck and he's bouncing around this old road, and the guy drops him off at a sushi restaurant, and he goes in and free and just so kind, trying to help him. And he goes inside, and the proprietor of the sushi place feeds him, and it's the first time he said he ever tried unagi or eel, and now that's what he orders every time we go to a sushi place. Somehow, with the help and kindness of strangers in Japan, he made his way back to their base camp, but it was quite an adventure. That is Travel Tuesday at Mount Fuji, Japan. I do want to thank everyone who contributes to the show and who tolerates me and my constant mistakes. You guys are really, honestly, so good to me, and I so appreciate you. Thank you to everyone who has contributed, and to everyone who has served, first and foremost. James S., thank you for your recurring PayPal payment to the After Party Live. Deidre, Chris H., Delette, Susan, thank you so much. Really, you're why this show keeps going. All right, everyone. Go out, make it the best rest of your Tuesday that you can, and I will see you tomorrow with Mo Kelly, 11 a.m. on the Mark Thompson Show. John Rothman will be on the show, as will Belinda Weymouth. For now, bye-bye.
The After Party Live would like to thank the following contributors and viewers like you.
That's some pretty funny moments, and also it's kind of real life in your face too. I'm glad you like it, Teacher Lori. I love you right back. It's the truth. I'll get right on that, Phineas. I don't even know where you buy that, let alone sear it.